right. With that, the car is loaded. And what's this we got back here? There's this motorcycle I've been looking at, and it fits perfectly on this channel because it is very much a threshold kind of vehicle. It's an electric motorcycle, and it's very, very cheap. When you look at a lot of electric motorcycles, you've got like the Harley Davidson Livewire that's got a lot of press this last year. It's $30,000. That's more than this car cost. You've got Zero cycles, which are great, great motorcycles. Pretty powerful, pretty popular. Start at about $10,000. This is about the cheapest Zero cycle you can get. Still, to me, is a lot of money for an electric motorcycle. I just need something to commute back and forth to work and maybe, you know, run a couple of errands around town and just enjoy riding. So when I started looking at electric motorcycles, I was like, I need something that can do at least 45 to be able to get on the highways that I travel. So I don't want to spoil too much, but the reason I'm driving this far for it, this company does ship motorcycles, but they sold out of them last week. Just as I was getting ready to buy one, they freaking sold out. So I immediately started scouring Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and I found one in the very western portion of Arizona, just outside of California. When you have 31 hours to drive, you have a little time to vlog as well. So we're going to be talking about the CSC City Slicker and kind of why I've chosen it as an electric motorcycle. But we're going to get a little more into that and talk about why it meets the threshold criteria. So first off, warning, all of my knowledge that I have about this bike so far, because we're westbound, is observational knowledge. I have no experiential knowledge on this or really any other motorcycle. Everything I think I've learned from like watching other YouTubers or instructional videos or just reading articles and that sort of thing. So, fair warning, I think I know what I'm talking about. So why a motorcycle in the first place? Well, they're pretty cheap, they're pretty fun, they are easy to park in the cities, and they leave a small footprint in general. So like, they don't take up much space in a garage, gas ones don't use as much gas, and the electric ones don't really take that much to charge either. So I've always kind of wanted a motorcycle because they're the smallest attainable personal transportation. Now, why an electric motorcycle? Well, there's a bunch of things that we'll kind of compare a little bit later on electric versus internal combustion engine, but in general, the electric ones have lower maintenance. If you're looking at like an e-bike or something like that, an electric motorcycle can take you from, you know, urban kind of travel to an actual commuter bike. They can go a little faster, go a little farther, and you don't have to pedal. But also, why electric? I have an electric car, and I love it so far. We just got a Tesla Model 3, and it's been great. Now that's kind of a higher end electric vehicle, and definitely this motorcycle that I'm going to get is not that. This is very much a cheap electric motorcycle, but I think it's going to win in the end. So why this electric motorcycle? Well, let's start off with some specs. So we have a 3.2 kilowatt hour motor. It's not a hub motor, has a belt drive. And we have a 26 amp hour battery. The whole system runs at 72 volts. And CSC claims that you can get 37 miles of range at 37 miles per hour. You can get 62 miles of range at 20 miles per hour. The bike tops out at about 46, and that seems pretty honest from all the YouTube videos I've watched on it, of which there are about 3, and I'm looking to change that. The bike retails for just under $2,500, and if you want to get it shipped to your door, you tack on another $400, so just under $3,000, and you've got yourself an electric motorcycle. Now, in the state of Florida, it is registered like a motorcycle because of how much horsepower it has. So let's dive a little bit more in depth into the electric versus mechanical or internal combustion engine motorcycles. So first of the list is noise. So we're going to kind of do a pro-con comparison. This is one that splits right down the middle. A pro of the electric motorcycle's noise is that it's quieter. A con of the electric motorcycle's noise is that it's quieter. So it's a debated topic whether you want like really loud pipes so that people can hear you cumping, but also people often complain about mechanical motorcycles being really loud. So that one's kind of up for debate. Where I live, I don't think the noise is that important because we don't have as many pedestrians, but it's certainly something to consider in the way that you drive. You pretty much got to rely on sight for other people to see you. Second is operation. So an electric motorcycle, most of them don't have gearing. This one certainly doesn't. Most of the Zero motorcycles don't have gearing. And that's much simpler for a beginning motorcyclist like myself. So you pretty much just got the throttle and the brakes to worry about. On a mechanical motorcycle, you almost always have gears. Even something as small as like the Honda Grom still has 4 gears on it, so you gotta learn to work a clutch and that sort of thing. The third kind of thing to think about is maintenance. So there's definitely gonna be a lot more maintenance on the mechanical motorcycles because there's simply a lot more moving parts. The only moving parts on the electric motorcycle are the internals of the motor, and then the belt, and then the wheels themselves. That's about it. There's no pistons, there's no gears. It's a very, very simple operation. You put current through the motor, it transmits energy to the wheels. But now on that same kind of vein, there's some maintenance that's gonna be shared on both. So with the electric motorcycles, like this one, you have a belt or a chain drive, so you're gonna have to maintain the belt and the chain. You still have brakes. Now you also got tires to worry about on both motorcycles, but anything that has wheels has that, so that's no big deal. And when you look at the long-term cost kind of associated with that maintenance, one could make an argument that any upfront cost on the electric motorcycles is going to be saved over the long run on that maintenance curve. So when you have on a mechanical motorcycle, internal combustion deal, you're going to spend a lot more money on maintenance because there's routine maintenance like oil changes, replacing spark plugs, and that sort of thing that you just have to do. Now I will want to make an argument in this court that the City Slicker breaks that trend of upfront cost to trade for maintenance. As I said, the City Slicker runs about $2,500. A Honda Grom, brand new, is $3,300. They're quite similar motorcycles. Now I want to talk about the Grom for just a second and compare these kind of apples to kind of apples. They're about the same size, they're about the same weight. A Honda Grom does have a little more top-end horsepower and a little more top-end speed. So it can go like 56 miles an hour is what their website says. And you definitely have a little more range with the gas tank, and you can fill up at gas stations. So in those kind of trade-offs. But the City Slicker still can get you to 45, and it's $1,000 less almost than the Honda Grom. So something to consider there. So what are some scenarios that the CSC City Slicker might be the bike for you? Say you're a college student, you don't have a lot of money to begin with, you need a cheap and effective way to get back and forth to class. If you're not mechanically inclined, a normal motorcycle would maybe scare you away from that option of just having a regular internal combustion motorcycle because you have to worry about maintenance and there's costs associated with that, where an electric probably won't have that kind of thing going for you. And with an electric motorcycle that can do 45 miles an hour, get you back and forth to class, and cost $2,500, that looks like a great college option to me. Another one's like the young professional. So like I've got a lot of friends who live in Washington, D.C. and ride bicycles. Some of them have e-bikes and they say it's the greatest thing ever, but I kind of wish they could go a little bit faster to and from work. This might be the perfect option for that, where you're just out of college, you got some massive student loan debt, and you just need a cheap and effective way to get around. And a motorcycle in general is going to be much easier to park in the city. A lot of times you can just take up kind of little corner spots. You may not even have to pay for parking. And I've noticed more and more in urban areas there's designated motorcycle parking near venues and college campuses and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where I stand on the bike now. We're still headed west. We're not quite yet to Arizona, and we'll be picking it up tomorrow. But I'll give an update after I ride it, and we'll kind of see if my before thoughts match my after thoughts and go from there. You're gonna drive home, I'm gonna ride like this.
Okay.